What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Megaman exact character overview video. Today we're going to be taking a look at DiVE Armor RiCO, actually releases soon in the global version. Alright, here is DiVE Armor RiCO right here. Alright, I'll take a quick look at her splash screen here. Not too bad. This is one of the ones I like a bit more. It's not too flashy. You do have like the glowing effect because of the DiVE Armor wings though. But let's take a look at her active skills. So first up, we have Recreation Plasma Charge Shot. Fires a plasma round that ignores terrain and deals 232% attack damage to a target. It creates a plasma field in place that can deal damage to the target it comes in contact with after hitting the target. Plasma rounds penetrate all targets in its path, and damage becomes 50% after penetration. The player is not taking damage during use. This should look familiar because this is Ultimate Armor X's Charge Shot. Fully charged there. For the modifier chips, we have power increase damage rate by 5%, because we always got to have one of those. We have Recreation Cross Charge Shot, and this one is Cross Charge Shot should make you think of Third Armor X, because this is a recreation of that. Unleash two charge shots, two safe charge shots that ignore terrain. When the first and second energy rounds come into contact, the first energy round will spread out to deal 6%, 0.6% more damage, and the second energy round will intensify to deal 2.5 times the damage. In addition, Cross Charge Shot penetrates all targets in its path, becomes 50% after the penetration, but it's not taking any damage during use. So another one here, and then the final one, as you might guess, it is another recreation skill. So this one is Recreation Charge Cannon Dive. Launch a Charge Cannon Dive at maximum range. Continue to deal damage to all targets in the range. Barrage of explosions will also be activated on the laser trail, dealing damage to all targets within range. The player does not take any damage during use. And this one should look familiar, as well as this is DiVE Armor X's charge shot here. So Riku's skill 1 is RiCO's skill 1 is very similar to her base kit, in the sense that you can pick and choose what charge shot you want to have here. You can either the plasma charge shot, cross charge shot, or the charge cannon dive. Though charge cannon dive doesn't tell you how much damage it does, and it's not on the wiki either, so I don't know how much damage it does. This is just the one I like the most, so I use that one. Following that, we have Recreation Double Genmu Zero. Gee, I wonder what this skill is going to do. Release two energy blades. Two energy blades are fired from each hand, dealing roughly 77% attack damage to all enemies in this path, but it's not taking any damage during use. And this is just, Double Genmu Zero, much like the Genmu Zero from Awaken Zero. There. And because of course we gotta have this power increase, because why would we not have power increase, right? Yeah. Following that, we have Recreation RiCO's. This one is from Black Zero here. Charge forward, dealing damage to enemies in this path, rendering targets immobile, will not take any damage when the skill is active. And then finally, we have RiCO's. Launch a powerful energy attack that strikes all enemies within range. Each energy round to enemies, no damage taken to play by use. RiCO's, that name sounds familiar. I know it's a zero skill, I don't remember which zero it's from though. But if you think of kind of like God, I forgot the character I was gonna say. Via. Kind of like Via's skill. I don't think it is Via's skill. Via's is like sword skill style blue or something. RiCO's is one of the zero skills. I just don't remember which one. But yes, again, this doesn't tell me how much damage these do, unfortunately. So that kind of sucks. This one tells me how much damage, but I mean, I kind of want to know how much damage these do. Alright, I don't want that on. Anyway, moving on to RiCO's passives here. First up, we have Extraordinary Armor. Damage taken reduced by 20%, which is very nice. It's inherent damage mitigation. When the first target is hit with Double Genmu Zero, RiCO's or RiCO's, create an R field. An R field is generated to deal damage to the target it contacts. This effect only triggers with a 3-second cooldown. So, kind of like how the other DiVE Armor characters have, will leave behind, a damage over time kind of thing. I don't want to say damage over time entirely, because it's just like while you're in the range of the R. Following that, we have Master of Arms. When you equip a buster or melee weapon at the same time, increase damage deal by 30% and reduce damage you take by 30%. Very, very nice there. I like this passive. That's inherent 50% damage mitigation if you're using a buster melee. Next up, we have Restriction Off. When Recreation will Plasma Charge Shot, Cross Charge Shot, or charge cannon dive hits a target, you can use the skills again. Restriction off. Okay, it's going to be triggered once more after 8-second cooldown. After using double Genmu 0, RiCO's, or RiCOha, and acceleration status, and your movement speed increases by about 38%. Isn't bad. So your charge cannons can be used, or rather, your charge shots can be used repeatedly due to this passive, and then you have a speed passive, speed boost on this as well, which is quite nice. Following that, we have additional arms. 3 additional rounds of tracking missiles that ignore terrain and obstacles are launched when using plasma charge shot, cross charge shot, or charge cannon dive, dealing 35% damage to the target. Can only trigger once a 1-second cooldown. Get a preventive shield every 8 seconds. Preventive shield's pretty nice, and the additional damage from this actually isn't bad, because you get 3 extra missiles at 45% attack damage, so that's quite a bit of extra damage there. Then finally, we have Supreme Armor. Use double Genmu 0, RiCO's, or RiCOha repeatedly. After a trigger, can only be triggered once more after 8-second cooldown. Reduces the range of the charged shots by 25%, and then you gain a shield every 8 seconds that can withstand on 10% attack damage, which is again quite nice. Only downside is that it can be removed. Now, following that, I'm going to take a look at RiCO's DNA. Probably won't be released with her in global when she releases, but we always take a look at the DNA if they're available, just so people are aware of what's going to come with them. First up, Master of Arms. Enhance the effective Master of Arms by 20%. And Master of Arms, I believe that is the... Yes, that is the skill right there. So your 30% gets increased there. Following that, we have Destroy Armor. When hitting a target with one of your charged shots or charge cannon, the attack will imply a defense crush and increase damage deal by 36%, which is quite nice there again as well. She won't have this on, probably won't have this on release, but hey, more damage is more damage. It's always good, really good. And then finally, have Enhanced Firepower. Can enhance damage state that cannot be removed, which is very, very nice there. When using double Genmu 0, RiCO's, or RiCOha, increasing damage deal by 24%. So she has even more damage amplification in her kit, assuming that you're using Buster Melee combo alongside that. And finally, for her unique recombined DNA, we have Predative Shield Echo. When you have Predative Shield, boost damage you take by 8%. That's okay. I don't think that's too bad. You get a Predative Shield, what is it, like every 8 seconds, I believe. So every 8 seconds, you have an additional 8% mitigation, unless you pick up the Preventive Shield on the stage while you're doing PvP. Then you might have it a bit more frequently. Other than that, mid-range abilities, mid-range boost, double depth ability, double amplification here as well. Over here, interference res, blind res, no weapon res, interference special attack, immobilize special attack, damage special attack, that kind of stuff there. So that's it for RiCO's kit. So let's go ahead and take a look at some weapons that pair well with her. Alright, you already know the deal. Buster Melee is typically what I suggest first anyway, just because it's so simple and easy to go with. But since she already likes Buster Melee anyway, that makes this a lot easier to go with. So, as per usual, for the Buster Melee setup, or an option, one of these sniper style busters here, Sniper Buster, Destructive Laser, Explosive Bolt, or the Hawk Position Buster. I think Explosive Bolt is the best option of these. You can have. It's not a limited weapon, and it has the widest range, has the highest damage potential out of these weapons. Other than that, Sniper Buster is free-to-play friendly, as you can end up getting it from Research Level 8 once you get there. And then you have the other two Sniper Style Busters in Destructive Laser and the Hawk Position Buster. Destructive Laser is a little bit weaker than the other Sniper Busters, but it fires a bit faster. So there is that. And Hawk Position Buster, I like the concept, but I don't like it in practice. It deals decent damage, has pretty decent range as well, comparatively. Actually, I think that's the same range as the rest of them. Yeah, that's the same range. But the gimmick of this one is that it can pierce terrain. Problem with it being able to pierce terrain is that in order for you to get that, you have to hit in mid to long range first before that happens anyway. So there is that. I think it'd be better if it just pierced terrain, but then I also think it would be kind of busted if you could do that. Following that, we have the Ultimate Blast. Ultimate Blast is a fantastic weapon. Downside with this weapon is that it is a limited weapon, so if you didn't get it during its last featured banner, you're going to have to get lucky on the next limited weapon banner. But Ultimate Blast can pierce terrain. It doubles its base attack stat as well. So instead of 34, it's 68. As a laser, kind of like the. It also has the Decides Will effect, which is quite nice. And the laser can end up inflicting immobilize as well. Next up, for the melee portion of these, we have the Nightmare weapon here. Nightmare, pretty good weapon. Nightmare is really simple. You swing it around and you get an attack buff. That's basically it, right? You can also get an attack buff if you hit a target, but with this last passive, all you have to do is every time you use a blade skill, so as long as you're just swinging it around. So if you see some people using Nightmare, they're just swinging it around, that's why. It's because you get that. We have Grudge Axe. Grudge Axe, it's not as good as it used to be. It is still a very solid weapon. The reason you use Grudge Axe is because it previously had an ability that was unique to it, where it could remove a buff and give it to you. Remove off the enemy, give it to you. That's basically why I use Grudge Axe. There was no other weapon in the game that could do that prior to the most recent weapon we got. If you don't have the other weapon I'm about to mention in just a moment, you can use this. It's a 60% chance of taking a buff and give it to you, alongside 60% chance of the Spirit Possession. However, that is once you have it at 4-star and you have this unlocked. Otherwise, it'll be a 30% chance. Now, the Miracle Blade is the weapon that you use to replace Grudge Axe now, because Miracle Blade is just... it's a fantastic weapon. It's along the lines of those weapons that we get that are limited weapons that are really, really good. As they're modeled after DiVE characters. This one, as you can see, is DiVE Armor Zero's weapon. This weapon does, it has status steal, so once every 3 seconds you can take a buff from the opposition and give it to yourself. This one isn't RNG, it's just limited to a 3-second cooldown. Outside of that, it has Defense Crush as well, somewhere in its kit. I don't remember where it is. I think it's in here. No, this is slow. Oh no, Defense Crush is in here too. Yeah, Defense Crush and Slow is over here, alongside Healing Dampen as well. And it has some range options too with the Dark Energy Blades, which is really, really nice there. Also, Reloaded Saber is a good option as well. Reloaded Saber has a lot of things going for it alongside that. It has Burn, so dot damage. It has Defense Crush, so you deal more damage. It has Speed Boost, so you can disengage easily. And it's Reloaded Salvo, which allows you to leave a Fire Pillar in its wake, and the Fire Pillar will deal continuous damage to everything standing inside the Fire Pillar. Other than that, maybe you might just want to go Decides Will. Decides Will is a fantastic zoning weapon. But if you're using anything other than Buster Melee on DiVE Armor RiCO, inherently you're losing out on 30% extra damage just because that's inherent passives. But maybe you don't have a good buster to use. Decides Will. Decides Will is another great weapon here. Good zoning weapon. It pierces terrain, fires missiles, it pierces terrain, fires lasers as well, much like the Ultimate Blast. This is also a limited weapon though, so if you don't have this, you'd have to wait till another limited weapon banner. Cannon God is an option as well if you don't have Decides Will, but Cannon God isn't as good. You could also make use of Starbright Cannon, but again, DiVE Armor RiCO really wants to use Buster Melee as it is, so that's basically what you're going to want to be leaning towards when using her. Alright, over to cards, and kind of as per usual, for the card setup, it's going to depend on what you're running, but because DiVE Armor RiCO leans so heavily into the Buster Melee setup, that's basically what you're going to want to do. So because of that, you're going to want to make use of the Elite Hunters right here, which you can get these from your guild. Pretty good there. As you can see, this has double invocation, double adaptability, so 10% damage amplification, damage mitigation there, until you combine them with a less than 5-star copy, then you get 18% extra damage amplification, damage mitigation. So with these, now RiCO has a 48% damage amplification and damage mitigation. She actually has a bit more damage mitigation because she actually has 68 because of her first pass that decreased damage she takes by 20%. So that's a bit more there. But yes, a lot of damage amplification and mitigation alongside DiVE Armor RiCO. Aside from that, there is a card that I'll put a picture in here. If you want to use, you can make use of the Twin Heroes card. I don't have it on this account, and it's a semi-limited card. Either by buying it in the global version or by monthly activity rewards. So you get it. Triggers off of red, blue, blue, or blue, blue, red, whatever you want to think of it as. And Yeah, it combos well with Elite Hunter. Alongside that, there is the Excess Memories card, which I scrolled past earlier. This is another free-to-play friendly card, much like the Elite Hunters. I didn't mention that, but it's free-to-play friendly. You can get this from the Deep Recorder. As you can see here, I have a lot of them because I got them from the Deep Recorder pretty consistently. And the only passive you're worried about here is Buster Amplification, increased damage deal by 8% when equipping a Buster. So that's really nice there. You don't need to worry about immobilize resistance because you're not going to trigger that. But this card goes well with Elite Hunters. Following that, maybe you want to use Player Killer instead. So you go with either the Akuma card, has Master of the Fist. This is a limited card from the Street Fighter event, so if you miss that, you won't have access to this. This has Master of the Fist. It's not Player Killer per se, but it does increase damage you deal when fighting another player and reduces damage you take when fighting another player by 4%. So you can stack this with itself, actually, red, blue. And there is the M Bison card, which triggers off of red, yellow. So you could stack two of these together alongside a yellow card and get access to Player Killer 2 and Player Killer 3 off that. There are a few other cards. Also, the M Bison card is limited as well from the Street Fighter event. So if you didn't get it from the Street Fighter event, then you won't have access to it. A few other cards that have Player Killer, Sigma's 4-second form, and the Life Aura card. You can get from the token shop, which is quite nice. The Life Aura card can be stacked with itself because it triggers off the yellow, red. So Player Killer 2, Player Killer 3, and a card there. And the Sigma X 4-second form cannot stack with itself. However, again, you can get that from the token shop. Another more budget option, if you are unlucky with getting Elite Hunter from the guild, is the Guild Development card here. Triggers off of yellow, green, so you can stack it with itself. You will miss out on about 4% damage amplification with this combo here. Because do I not have a max copy of this card? I do. All right, so you have 8% here, 6% here, gives you 14%. So you won't have the 18% damage amplification there, which isn't too bad, but you don't get the damage mitigation. But that's probably okay for the most part, to be quite honest. Because this event was pretty recently, you can use the Dante card as well if you have this. But again, this is a limited card from the Devil May Cry event. You can stack this with itself, but the problem with that is... I wouldn't say it's a really big problem. But the combo effect doesn't really work with it. It's not that good for stacking this card with itself, to be quite honest. Unless you're only concerned with double amplification. But try to get Elite Hunters if you can, because like if you look at the wording here, when combo effect 1 status is activated, the combo effect 2 status will be disabled. So that means if you have 2 copies of this card and you have combo effect 2 and combo effect 1, it prioritizes the combo effect 2 instead of the combo effect 1 instead of combo effect 2, which is bad because that means less damage output. So that's pretty unlucky. Demon King Urizen is also an option, as well as has Player Killer 2 on it. You can stack this with itself because it triggers off for yellow-green. And then the Absolute Evil, actually, if you opt to not stack the Player Killer with itself with this card, because I think the Sigma X4 triggers off for yellow-green, so you could do that as well. I think it's a green card, if I'm not mistaken. I just looked at it, but I don't remember. Absolute Evil, when the target is a player, deals 5% extra damage, which damage you take by 5%. It'll be more, obviously, if you have this card at 5-star, but that is something else you can have as well there. Alright, and that's it for Dive Armor RiCO. Didn't go as depth as I usually do for the weapons this time around to keep the video a little bit shorter. See how this one plays out. But now, should you pull for Dive Armor RiCO? Sure, maybe. Probably not, to be honest. It's not that she's bad, right? And I know Dive Armor RiCO is one of the more divisive units in the community, with many more people leaning towards she's not good, and I definitely don't agree with that. She is a good unit, but she's a good unit, but she's not broken, and that's kind of the problem because a lot of other units are just broken. So by comparison, she doesn't look as good. I still think she's a good unit, but she's not broken. So she's overshadowed a lot by the other units if you're using her for PvP. However, she's not a bad unit. You can get use out of her in PvE, but you can use anything in PvE. If you do really want to pick up RiCO, and you really want to pull for her, you're probably someone that really likes RiCO, or you just want a more fleshed out roster so you can have things for like total power battle, and things like that. And maybe it's more units to throw at Jakob's Orbital Elevator. So, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I don't think she's necessarily worth chasing unless you really like RiCO personally. I don't mind RiCO. I actually kind of, like I said, I actually like Dive Armor RiCO, but she just kind of gets overshadowed by a lot of other units who are easier to get value out of most of the time. But with that said, in a PvP setting, I think she can do okay. It just takes a little bit more effort to use her than to use, like, I don't know, like Dive Armor Zero or like X Dante Trigger, something like that. But that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe my channel as well as the content. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my YouTube channel members and my patrons for continuing to support me and allowing me to do what I do. If you'd like to support me as a YouTube channel member or as a patron, you can find information down below in the video description. And I'll see you guys next time. Later.